This is the Ballroom State of Mind podcast, episode 124, Be Patient. Hey friends, it's time for the podcast. How are we doing? I want to talk today about patience. And as they say, patience is a virtue. And there is one instance in which I actually don't want you to be patient. I'm going to tell you that at the end. So make sure you stick around to hear that. But for the majority of this podcast, I want to talk about patience. Now, I hear from clients that they want to get better faster, right? Sometimes there's a sense that they have limited time. Either they're older and they think like my body's not going to hold out, like I'm not going to be able to do this. Like I hear this especially from my clients who are a little bit older. There's like a clock ticking, or like a client I had this week who wants to start a family. And so in her mind, it's like, oh my gosh, I only have so much time that I can apply myself to this. And so I have to hurry and get a bunch of stuff in before that day comes. Or perhaps it's like a lot of us where they simply have been working at it a long time and feel that they should be getting better results. I definitely have one client who I can think of off the top of my head who frequently says, I'm just not succeeding. I'm not doing well. I'm not placing well. I'm not winning. And what if I'm never going to win? And she's very sad about this. She's very distraught. It's a real thing. And it's not uncommon to feel like the results that we're getting are not in line with what we've been putting in. There is value in taking the time to examine the results that we want. Okay. Like, what do we mean by results? Do we literally only mean winning? Or how do we really want to define success for yourself? You really do need to kind of get that straight in your head. Because what does that even mean? Not all of us compete, but for those of us who do compete, sometimes we want to measure our success by how we place or not. Obviously, that's part of it. Whether we make finals or not, that sort of thing. And it's not that this is the worst kind of measure, but it is kind of bad because it actually isn't based on your merit or how much you've improved. It's literally a ranking that's based on who is there in that moment, like what is available to them, who is judging. Like a judging panel can change and it can change all the scores. And it's also dependent upon how well or not well somebody's dancing that day or in that moment. And it's just a moment. It's a snapshot of a moment. It's not reliable for the vast majority of us. And the thought that keeps coming to my mind is this kind of measure is just slippery. It's not reliable. It's unsteady ground to be measuring yourself. But whatever you are deciding are the results that you want. Let's just say you're not getting them, okay? Even if it's that you want to be really, really good and you're asking yourself, when am I going to be really, really good? When is it going to get really, really fun? When am I going to get really good? Or we might be thinking, dang, if I'm putting in all this effort and all this time and I'm not getting the results that I want, I don't even know that this is worth it because I'll probably have to work even harder to get that. And I just can't. And notice how we are focused on the results more than the improvement process, which is okay. Like I get it. But if I'm focused on the result and I'm not getting the result that I want, then I must be failing at this, or this must not be worth it. And this is the kind of mentality that while it's valid and I get it and it's common, it's precisely why people want to give up. And then when you do give up, you definitely will not get that result that you want. Because the truth is that results, they don't come immediately. Anyone who masters anything works on it, and they work on it for hours, and they work on it for weeks, and they work on it for months and years. We talked about this a little bit in the episode Effort Shock. I'm not sure which number it is, and I'll link it in the show notes, but effort shock is like us underestimating what really is required to get that result that we want. It's kind of a shock to discover, oh gosh, for me to get that, I really got to put in more than what I'm giving now. The repetitions, the practices, the coaching, the literal time and attention that's required is often so much more than we think. Now, we love to dance. We might love to perform. We might love the environment and watching it and the studios and like being a part of something like bigger than ourselves. But ask yourself, do I love the process? Do I love the actual consistent application of time and energy and effort over a long period of time? And I don't mean we have to like love it. Like we don't have to like enjoy it, but we have to at least accept and embrace it. The people who are exceptional and who achieve mastery and get really, really good, as we might say, they are exceptionally patient. Mind you, they're not waiting around. That's not what I mean by being patient. It's not about waiting for something. They're getting after it. It's about having patience with the process that will get you what you want. It's patiently applying that process because it's going to give us the result that we want. And this is very active. It's not waiting. Okay. But Bob Rotella, who's a sports psychologist and he's a golf expert and he's the author of the book, How Champions Think. He said, the exceptional person or the exceptional dancer can accept the vagaries of the improvement process. Think about that. The vagaries of the improvement process. And he talks about how most people don't have this kind of patience. They get frustrated with like an improvement program when they don't get the immediate results. As humans, we love immediate results. I want to put an effort and I want to see the result right now. But the exceptional ones, they have enormous patience with a process that they know will make them better. And as they get better, they will get that result. Just because results aren't immediate, they don't give up. They don't know when their efforts are going to pay off. He says, like, they don't know when it's going to bear fruit, but they only know that it will. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying it's like even really that fun, but it is what we need to go through. Okay. Now listen, my family, we've been in the wrestling season since like just this year, since like October or November. Okay. They do a club thing. They do the school wrestling. And for us, like the schools are done, but we're still going. Our season's not done for a few more weeks. And it's been an exciting season with my middle schooler and my high schooler, because my middle schooler won state this year for his club tournament at his weight class. He was the champion. He was the state champion. And in the school system for middle school, he got runner up at middle school state. And by the way, last year he went as a sixth grader and he went 0-2 and he lost and he did not get anywhere near placing. He was devastated last year. In his seventh grade year, he made the finals and he got runner up to a kid who was like next level. Okay. My high school freshman, he got runner up at districts, and then qualified for state, for high school state as a freshman. He had a bye, which means he didn't have a match, and then he won. So he went on to the next day, but then he lost twice and he ended up not placing. But this was still a fantastic accomplishment to make state as a freshman and wrestle against juniors and seniors on a huge platform. It was at the Memorial Coliseum in Portland. It was huge. And as I've been watching them this year in particular, I get really emotional at times. And my husband will look over at me and he'll say, "Why are you crying? Like, what's going on?" And I'll say, "I'm so proud." And I'll just like think about the first wrestling practice. I took them to the high school and we walked into the room and there was all these kids running in circles in that wrestling room. It was kind of noisy and there was a lot going on and they were so little and they both burst into tears because they were so overwhelmed and they were so scared and they were so small. And we have been doing this more than 7 years. And when I see them out there and I see them succeeding and I see them getting the results, I'm seeing all those years, year after year of going to practices, meet after meet, traveling all over, going to tournaments out of state where they got their butts kicked. And my husband and I were talking about this, and he said, it's been interesting to watch the process for them because they weren't very successful in the beginning, of course, or maybe like kind of randomly so. But it took about 4 years for them to even figure out technique and actually learn how to apply it. So just those first 4 years, I remember them like making a turn at 4 years. I was like, oh, they're getting it. Okay. And in the beginning, they would like sometimes do okay, but mostly they would go 0-2. And in most of these tournaments, if you lose twice, you're out. Okay. So many of these tournaments, they're not advancing. They're just losing. They're just losing. Okay. And then eventually they were winning 1 or 2, but they weren't placing. And then for a while, they would do better at smaller tournaments, but then they wouldn't qualify for the bigger one, or they'd go to a bigger one and not do well at all. But then they would make it to a bigger tournament, but they would not place. Okay. But then they started placing, but like 4th, 5th, or 6th. And now this year, they're more consistently in the top 3 and often the top 2, getting to the finals and getting to that final match. And even if they lose and they get second, this is a huge accomplishment over time. And then we'll go to an out-of-state tournament, like so they're succeeding locally. And then we'll go to an out-of-state tournament that draws kids from multiple states. And now they're getting their butts kicked again. They're getting hammered. But I get emotional because they're doing it. They're doing it. They're applying the process and they're getting better all the time. And they've had so many opportunities that they could quit and give up because it doesn't look like success would conventionally look like. They're engaged in the process and they're putting their faith in it and it's working. They're getting better all the time. And if they just focused on the result and whether they were winning or not, they would have quit a long time ago. Winning is great. I love it. Okay. I love to win because a win, if we're defining that as our success, is validation. It's a pat on the back. It's the thing we're looking for to confirm like we're improving, and it's the reward for all that hard work that we're putting in. I love that. And I love good results. I love it when the results get to validate all the effort I put in. But hear me say, the process is the point. The person you are becoming by trying to reach those goals, by trying to get that result, the person you are becoming is the point. That's what's making you good. That's what's making you really, really good. That's what's getting you mastery. We may not always get the exact result that we want at the exact time that we want, but you are slowly but surely becoming the person worthy of that. If you set a goal, a result that you want, and you work towards it and you just miss it, you didn't fail. You're closer than ever. Keep going. Keep working. Keep working the process. There might be times you need to change your process. There might be times we need to make adjustments. But if you believe you will get there and you keep working, you will. This is the one place that I don't want you to be patient. I want you to be impatient about your self-belief. I want you to believe in yourself before anybody else does. I want you to believe in yourself when you have no business believing in yourself. Believe in yourself before you have any evidence that it's possible. In that, be impatient. Be impatient with limits, whether they're placed on you by people or systems outside of you, or if they're placed on you by your own self. You're not too fat. You're not too big. You're not too old. It doesn't matter when you started. You didn't start too late. Don't tell yourself that you don't have enough time. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough resources. Don't be patient with limits like that. Don't wait for proof to believe. Don't hold back for the sake of others. Don't tell yourself newcomers should wait their turn. Don't wait for some future point to believe you can achieve it. Yes, respect what others have done, but also respect yourself and respect your own talent and efforts at the same time. And in that, you can be impatient, okay? But for the rest of your development and the rest of your mastery, embrace the patience required and keep working at it. As long as you don't quit, you will get there. It's inevitable. Okay, so be a little bit patient. I love you guys. Catch you next time.